Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning, Kathy. Good morning, Tom.
This morning we have a guest with us, Tom, from Breaking the Chains-Documentaries. He's out of United Kingdom, and he has been gracious enough to come on board with us while he is on the road in the Ukraine area. He is rescuing animals, and we want to welcome you, Tom. We are so excited to have you as part of our show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Nice to have you.
Right. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to go over is first off about what your mission statement is in Breaking the Chains. And we saw that it's bringing you up, bringing us an up and close and personal insight into the rescues and shelters around the world. And your goal is ultimate, which is to raise awareness through your documentaries to generate much needed support for the many dogs in need. So Tom, tell us about Breaking the Chains-Documentaries. Why did you start, and how did you start, and why did you get so interested in it?
So I'm a veteran of the British Army. I served in the British Army for 18 years, and I've served in operational theatres, Iraq, Afghanistan, and many others during my time in the British Army. So I've seen the power of animals, especially dogs, both on the battlefield and in the aftercare with mental health. And I've always loved dogs. I've always been a dog lover. When I left the army, I was actually diagnosed with PTSD myself. And I was in a bad place, and I ended up getting a dog that was actually an ex-soldier as well, an ex-army search dog. His name was Gypsy. I've still got him. And if it wasn't for him, I'd be in a very different place than what I was now. So when I started to obviously build myself up, I wanted to repay obviously what he and many other dogs had done for me in the past. So I started volunteering my time, my skill set with imagery and videography to shelters. And then it just kind of grew from there, because I started getting an insight into the corruption from governments, from organisations, the mass neglect and abuse. And because of my time in the military as well, I don't just look at the point and go, that's the reason. There's many trails you need to follow back to get to the grassroots of it and to the actual root cause of the problem. And in many cases, the cause of the problem isn't just because someone wants to abuse animals. It can go all the way down the line to people's childhoods, people's upbringings, and then obviously putting situations in place where we can try and negate that and protect these animals. So that's basically what we do. We go around, we help organisations, rescue shelters, and whatever the challenges are, no matter where they are in the world. My team's fully equipped, as you've seen from Ukraine, to go into anywhere and assist with the situation of animals.
Okay, well, I knew that you were planning on coming to the United States, and you were going to go to 50 states and 50 days, and you were going to do some really great fundraising, and then the Ukraine came along. So what drove you to go to the Ukraine to help animals in need?
Well, I'm in a very unique position in the animal rescue world. Is I've got a lot of friends that are really good operators, military operators from a lot of time and a lot of experience in the military, and individuals that not only dare to go into these environments, but they thrive in them. They come alive in them. So, and it's the same with me. In these, it might sound a little crazy, but environments like this, I thrive in it. I come alive in it, because that's what I was desensitized to from my time in the military and the time that I've spent there, the camaraderie with the lads. So we spoke together, we had a chat, and we was like, we've got to go there. We're in a unique position. We can do some really good things, and we can do things that very few people can do. So if we don't do it, no one else is going to. So so we decided that we need to get out there and we need to do what we're doing now.
Well, having done a number of rescues, I've been in rescue for over 50 years, and I've never been involved in wartime. Knowing that it's so difficult to do rescues on a general sense, I can't imagine what it's like during wartime. So, how do you determine where to go?
So, the ultimate goal in anything, especially in rescue and obviously in wartime, in wars, is a maximum preservation of life. That's That's what your ultimate goal's got to be, and that's what your ultimate target's got to be. So we focus on the locations and the organizations who are most in need with the most animals. So, for instance, by that, we can go into a red zone. So we can go into Kharkiv, Kiev, an area like that that's got, there can be two different, obviously, options. One's to go save one dog, or the other's to go clear a shelter of 200 dogs and cats. So I know it sounds obviously really bad, obviously, like, because we don't want to have to leave an animal, and we don't, but that's how we have to make that judgment call. And I'm the one who makes that decision. And for me, the decision's always on maximum preservation of life, so the most lives that I can save. And obviously not just with getting the animals out, but also with the resupplying of food and getting the food and the medical supplies in there to them to obviously sustain them for a long period of time so the animals don't starve to death. And I was actually thinking about this the other night, and it's in my position and what we're doing, and the reason why I fully take the decisions on board myself is because I would not want to pass this decision on to anybody else, because you almost like, it's like I'm choosing who, like, what animals live and what animals die, and that's an awful position to be in, and it absolutely breaks my heart. And some nights I don't sleep because of it. I very rarely sleep anyway because I'm that busy, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. And when you see on social media and stuff, like, people are trying to pressurize people to go to locations and go to places and be like, can you help these? You need to help these. You need to help these. They need to understand that, yes, we know you're trying to help the animals, but in the same breath, you're asking people to choose the lives of animals over the lives of other animals, and they don't understand the decisions that they're putting in people's hands, if that makes sense, and mentally on them. It's quite draining. That's quite difficult, but I know that my decisions are correct, and yeah, and I've just got to go with what I believe and what I feel, and take ownership of the decisions that I make.
Okay, well, Tom, I saw your live show, the last one that you did, and you had mentioned that you were asking the shelters, that you're not asking for people in the United States or someplace else. You're looking for close locations. You're asking the shelters to either put some of the dogs and cats into foster homes so that it will relieve room for the animals that you rescue. So can you share with us what kind of condition are these animals in when you rescue them, for the most part?
So the animals that we rescue are not in a good position, and they're not in a good condition, because obviously a lot of them haven't had food for a while. They haven't had the right medication for a while. They're scared because of obviously the IDF, the airstrikes, the mortar strikes, the artillery strikes. So the mental strain it's been taking on dogs is absolutely crazy, and they're in a really bad place. They're petrified. So when you're trying to rescue one dog and get hold of obviously one dog normally in the street and stuff like that, you can take your time. But we was in a shelter the other day in Kharkiv that had actually been blown up, took 2 direct hits with IDF. We went there to extract the animals, and it was about 900 meters away from the Russian front line, from the Russian troops, and was actually having IDF coming in while we was doing it. So there was like artillery rounds and mortar rounds landing in and around us while I was doing it. And the fear on the dogs, obviously, it adds to it. So not only are they getting moved and handled by people like they don't know, but then with that going off, so there's been a few bites, mainly on the actual like shelter owners that have been there. But a couple of my lads have been bitten, and it's not obviously aggression. It's just because they're that petrified, and it's heartbreaking to see.
Okay, so now actually, where did and do the animals go once you rescue them? Do you have a plan? What's your plan?
Right. Okay. So at the moment, there's been a lot of shelters, private shelters that are no-kill shelters, private shelters that have got good reputations. Obviously, always put the animals first, and they provide good care for the animals. So at the moment, they've been going to them, where they'll go there, they'll get their vaccinations, they'll get their passports, they'll get microchips, they'll get any medical treatment that they need, and they've got a quarantine there for 4 weeks, I believe, off the top of my head, while they have all this done. And then from there, they'll go to predetermined rescues and shelters and homes within the rest of Europe. So all of them will end up in either loving forever homes or incredible sanctuaries, depending on the animal, because we all know that a war zone has been mentally traumatic for animals, and we'll try and rehome 100% of them. But the ones that can't go into a home environment will live in a truly incredible sanctuary. We've got multiple ones across Europe. But yeah, we've also got another big plan that we're actually releasing. I'm actually releasing the information later tonight, so unfortunately I can't share that with you.
I saw that you got a special announcement going tonight.
Yeah, and that's obviously that's to do with the animals. And it's truly incredible. We've got an amazing team. Obviously, my ground team is absolutely phenomenal. Transport teams are phenomenal. The supply chain's phenomenal. We're working with some truly phenomenal organizations, and the actual setup of what we're establishing and the amount of avenues of what we're doing and stuff like that is, and I can honestly say this hand on heart, there is no other organization that is doing what we are doing to the level and magnitude of what we are doing.
Exactly. And one of the things that I know for sure is I see how you're doing the rescues and that you are very cautious. You're very safe in how you do it, even down to your gear. I'm so impressed with the gear. What made you decide to? As a matter of fact, here, folks, let me show you what their gear looks like, which is really pretty interesting. This is what it looks like. And that's the gear. See all the little pockets in that? So what does your gear consist of?
Well, the thing is we work in because we go into the red zones, we work in the IDF range, artillery range, mortar range, and sometimes small arms range as well. So we need to ensure that if we do get targeted by the Russians or by mistake by the Ukrainians, we need to ensure that we've got that level of protection that we require. So obviously we have our helmets, we've got our plate carriers, we've got all of our medical equipment for both humans and for animals, so that if there's any obviously blunt trauma or anything like that, trauma-based injuries, be it to an animal or to an individual, we can deal with that. So we need to make sure that we're fully prepared for any incident whatsoever, no matter what goes on. And that's the beauty of having a team of veterans that have got a lot of operational experience around the world, is apart from the fact of the firearms, yes, we can't stand and fight back, but we can extract effectively, efficiently, fast, timely if we come under contact. And we know that the lads are going to thrive and come to life if the situation turns sour, rather than go back into themselves and then obviously put other team members and the animals at risk. So yeah, so we just got to be prepared for every single eventuality. It's a war zone at the end of the day, and we're going into the thick of it. So
God bless you for being prepared. And speaking of your crew, let's give your crew some credit. Can you tell us who these gentlemen are, that these heroes that have joined you in this wonderful project?
The other right. So there's only actually two of us there's only two of us there in my team, and that's me and Steve. So Steve's the one with the other baseball cap in the middle. The other three guys is basically we went to Kiev to resupply a load of shelters, and these gentlemen, because of obviously we can only go to so many places at once, they obviously arranged to meet us. They had the little van, we gave them a load of food, and then they took it around to some other shelters while we was doing the other shelters. So incredible gentlemen, absolutely brilliant guys doing great work for the animals, and it's all about working together. So they actually came up to us, we gave them a load of food, and they went and distributed it. So obviously hats off and credit to them.
Okay, so this is actually your crew here.
Yes, so Steve's to my left. Behind us is Mitch. So Mitch is actually a press guy. So he's a press guy. He's going to be attached to us for the next 3 months. Really nice guy. And then the reason why you haven't seen the rest of our team members is because they're in different vehicles. And two of them can't be identified, and the other two, we've just not really got any pictures of them, to be honest.
Oh, okay. And these are your look at your barracks of where you're at right now, huh? So you've got a 5-star hotel atmosphere.
Yeah, well, that there's so when we first came in, me and Steve came in on our own because we wanted to establish locations inside of Ukraine to set up the supply chain, location on the border. We wanted to obviously recce certain areas. We wanted to get a feel for the ground, so we knew how to effectively and decisively move, what vehicles we require, what kit and equipment, how much manpower we need, what obviously the checkpoints are like, what the roads are like, what the environment in general is like. And that was me and Steve for the first week. For the first 10 days, we was sleeping in the back of the van on top of the food. We was driving like 1,100 miles a day up there to a rescue, to a shelter, get the animals, extract them, take them all the way back to the border where we'd have them picked up by a licensed transporter, taken to the shelters. But now we've broken that down and we've got different teams doing different segments. So I've actually got 2 ground teams, which are the guys that go into the red zone that obviously work with me. And then we've got transport teams, which obviously deal with the transportation of animals from when we extract them back from the red zone to a safe location. And then we've got supply teams, which basically drive the supplies through a series of checkpoints from through the country, from the border up to my location. But nobody apart from the ground teams goes further inland than our location.
Okay, well, you know what, your crew, they're truly very heroic, and we're very proud of them. Are there any other organizations that you know of that are also helping out in the manner that you are? I think you said just a couple of minutes ago that you're not aware of any in the way you are, but are there some you're working in tandem with or in conjunction with?
There are so many. There's so many great organisations out here. So many great organisations. You've got a lot of organisations on the borders. You've got a lot of great experienced zoo animal organisations that are extracting zoo animals and stuff like that. So yes, there are loads of fantastic people and fantastic organisations. There's a lot of fantastic Ukrainians who are helping with the animals and staying behind to look after the animals. There's some truly brave people out here. When I say that there's no one else operating to the extent that we are, it's more the fact of to the magnitude and the level and the turnaround and the effectiveness that we are operating at with our supply chains all the way across Europe, all the way through to the front lines in Ukraine, getting the supplies in and the animals out. And and I think that, to be honest with you, is just because my team's obviously all veterans, like I've said, and we run it like a military operation. We put a lot of planning into what we was doing. We didn't enter the Ukraine until after a week of the war, and that wasn't because we was deciding whether to come or not. That was because we were studying and assessing obviously what the Russians were doing, so that we can preempt what they're going to do and what the best locations for us to set up in us, so that we can be sustainable and obviously reachable for the long term. I'm not going to go into what I believe that the Russians obviously are going to do and stuff like that, just purely because, that's my opinion, and obviously I'm not going to put that cat out the bag, so to speak. But that's just the way that we assessed it and the way that we looked at it. And so far, we've been proven right on everything we've done. But again, I'm blessed in the side. Pardon?
Yeah, I was about to ask a question. You mentioned the refugee. You mentioned the border. What is the situation with somebody, a refugee, is living with his dog, and then at some point he has to let go the dog? Is there a situation like that, or they can carry the dog with them across the border?
Okay, so refugees are allowed to take their animals out of the country. Each individual is allowed to travel, like individual entities are allowed to travel across the border with 5 animals. The neighboring countries have waived vaccinations and passports. Okay. Now, where the issue with animals getting abandoned has come from, to my knowledge, and obviously what I've seen and what I've heard and stuff like that, is from public transport. So coaches, trains, stuff like that. We're prioritizing people over animals, and then that's when they've been forced to leave them behind.
Okay, and do you have any idea where they end up going, or do you pick those up if you find the strays?
Okay, so so Ukraine has a lot of strays, anyway, and generally what you find with the strays, like we see a lot of strays daily that we just drive past, and it's because there are a lot of strays. But the reason why we drive past them is because they've got no skin problems, they're in a pack, they've got a regular food source, you can tell by their weight, they've been strays all their lives, so they're street savvy. our priority is clearing, obviously, the abandoned pet animals that haven't lived on the street, don't know how to like find that food source, forage for themselves and stuff like that, and also shelter animals that are confined and entrapped in the location that's either A, getting targeted by the Russians, B, going to get caught in the crossfire by the Russians, or C, going to get cut off by the Russians. So yeah, so there are a lot of strays. We wouldn't be able to move if we just picked up strays.
Wow.
So I would imagine, and I see from your pictures that the Ukrainians are obviously very, very, very grateful to you guys for your help and what you've done. Is that an emotional thing for you guys when you see that?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, most people, obviously, when they see us, I mean, every day we have people in tears from obviously the work that we do. Not every Ukrainian's grateful for the work that we do. The vast majority are. And yeah, no, it's really humbling, and it's obviously it's heartwarming, and it's also heartbreaking when you see how something so simple in our eyes means so much to them.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's an amazing work you're doing. I don't know if you have a light in your car that you can turn on. We barely see a shadow of your face. Yeah, that's
That's
better.
it's
Okay, there.
nighttime here.
Yeah.
Keeps
That's
coming and
better.
going.
Okay, now
Okay,
we
there.
see you.
Now we
Excellent.
You're blinding me.
Thank you.
okay.
Bounce it off the roof. Face it up.
That's good.
Okay.
That's fine.
All
That's
right.
worked
I,
just
I
well.
I
Thank you
wanted
for doing.
I wanted to say to everyone, hey, please go over to their website or to their Facebook page. That's where Tom is doing all of his lives. He's going to do a live at, I just put a link to it in the comments. He's going to do a live at 8 p.m. tonight, UK time. So that's like that's 3 hours from now, right, Tom?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours away. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm also going to put a link to all of the pictures that he has so that you can go ahead and look at them. I think it would be very good for all of us to do that so that we can familiarize ourselves. And Tom, I'm also going to put a link to uh, all of your. Now, let me ask you, what is it that you need outside of donations?
Yeah.
What else can we do for you?
Okay, so the big thing with everything is obviously awareness, raising awareness to the cause, to the cause, and trying to get as much backing as like trying to get organisations as much backing as possible. Now, I always say this all the time: if you want to donate, obviously, to aiding the animals in Ukraine, it doesn't have to be to us. There are loads of organisations doing fantastic work. So just find some organisation that you like, be it us or any other organisation, and just give as much support as you possibly can, be it financially, physically, emotionally. Obviously, just share the content and raise awareness to what's going on here, because this isn't going to be over in a week. It's going to be a long time thing. And as far as obviously what we need, it's supplies, obviously medical supplies, food supplies. A lot of it we can pick up. We have vehicles, equipment that obviously we need to maintain, team members that obviously need to supply with obviously the right equipment and stuff like that. Medical supplies that we're dropping off. We're also helping children's hospitals. We're helping the paramedics and stuff like that are in the ambulance services and the fire services that are obviously doing amazing things on the front line when obviously the cities are targeted by indirect fire. So yeah, we're doing a lot of things. We're not just helping the animals. The animals is the forefront and our main focus, but when we can help people along the way, we always ensure that we do.
Well, even after this war is over, you're still going to be having such a plethora of work to do because there's so many animals that will continue to be in need. So what are your future goals?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually in a transition period. We're going to transition across to either a foundation, and we're going to establish teams. Consist of 6 individuals in each, and it's basically going to be a quick reaction force that can react to any environment in the world where animals need immediate care and attention.
Oh my God, wonderful. Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
happen to know what the website is for that, or you're just creating it now?
We're just creating. Well, we're not creating the website now. I'm a little bit busy,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, right.
But
Keep
yeah,
up the good work first.
yeah, but basically they're gonna be called STAR teams, and it basically stands for Specialist Tactical Animal Relief.
Oh, great.
And we're gonna basically react to be it forest fires, tsunamis, hurricanes, and then the guys we've got veterinary guys, we've got paramedics, we've got urban search and rescue guys in the teams. All the guys that are obviously trained with stuff like rock climbing, caving, urban search and rescue, paramedic, trauma-based related injuries for animals and humans. We'll do courses so we can get an understanding of like forest fires and stuff like that, just so we have two teams that can react to anything, whose sole focus is to get in there and get the animals out, working alongside the relevant is that are on the ground or helping the people.
Okay, well, Tom, what else do you want to tell our audience? Because we're going to show your videos on your website. I mean, on your Facebook page about who you are, and then we're going to close the show. I don't know if you want to stay on for that, or do you want to just leave right now? That's entirely up to you. But I would like to be able to show our audience. You know what? Stay on a minute. Let's show this, folks. This is what they do.
So there's a link with GoFundMe. Yeah.
What?
There's a link with GoFundMe. Yes.
That was a while back. So what we wanted to do is we did a series of short videos where we basically wanted to do some positive based stuff, because a lot of the stuff you see getting raised towards animal abuse is basically a point of abuse, and it's obviously all hard hitting and stuff like that. So we wanted to show some really emotional stories where we show the story of the love and compassion that's basically been put into this animal to completely change their world, because a lot of people forget that there's a lot of hard work in rescue, and 90% of it's actually the rehabilitation factor of it.
That's what our show is about. It's connecting. That's why it's the dog connection. We totally agree with you and share with you on that. It's about how they can be rehabbed and connected together. So God bless, we're on the same path. We'd love to have you on the show continuously, Tom, with updates of any type. And please be sure to let us know how you're doing and what you're doing. We'll follow you and continue to keep following you.
Just a quick question: is your GoFundMe link is still active?
No, that was nearly a year ago. That was for that was for a project in Texas that we did just before Christmas.
Okay,
so
I understand.
That'll be getting released. So we did a documentary in Texas. Was out there for about 6 weeks before Christmas. That should have been released early next year, but obviously that time's going to get pushed back for however long that we're in Ukraine, because clearly we can't be editing and doing stuff like that, unfortunately, which is obviously that's a shame, but it's just something from the aftermath of war, unfortunately, that we can't help.
Right.
I understand.
Okay, folks. Well, when you see pictures like this on Tom's Facebook page and the Breaking Chains-Documentaries, you'll know that this puppy, this baby, was found a new home and is in a safe place because of these heroic guys. So we want to thank you so much, Tom, for being on the show. And we look forward to following you. Excuse me here a second. Okay. And we look forward to following you as the days go by. Thanks, Tom. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom, for your work. That's incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Me, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay.